Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop, and this is my normal smoother. This is the one I use most of the time, but I want to actually make this one. This is a Stanley 604 bedrock smoother. It is generally considered to be the best smoothing plane ever made until modern ones that are actually better came out. But I want to take this apart and I want to rebuild this and not restore it. It doesn't need too much work, but make this thing absolutely amazing. So let's dive into it. So first order of business is disassembling the plane, and we're going to take it apart. If you've ever disassembled a plane, this is pretty much the exact same. The only major difference is that this is a bedrock. So you have these two screws that actually hold the frog in place, and there are two pins that go down through the frog into the bed, and those screws actually go into the pins. And it's kind of an ingenious little system. It makes it easier for adjusting the frog in and out. Though it's very rare that I ever adjust the frog. I usually set it at one spot and just keep it there. Either the plane does really, really fine smoothing, or it's just an average plane, in which case then the mouth is open to about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. The only issue on this one is the depth adjustment stud here. I couldn't quite get it to come out, so if I cut a slot in the end, and then I can use it as a screwdriver, put that in there and crank it out. And you have to remember, it's left-handed, not right-handed. Yeah, I know. Oops. I've done that several times where I get about halfway in and then realize, yeah, I should fix that. Now I'm going to be taking out this yoke because I'm going to replace it with a file to fit. And so we need to be very, very careful when pushing it out. I want to make sure I'm not going to be putting any undue stress on the casting because it's very common that you pound on it and break it off. So I'm doing very, very light, simple taps. And there is the rod that needs to go through there. I am not going to be taking the lever adjuster off of the frog. The lateral adjuster is one of those things that I just don't like taking it apart because it has been riveted on, and it is a pain to try and get it back and forth. So I leave it alone and just work around it. For the knob and tote, I'm going to scrape them off. Sometimes I'll use the side of a chisel, but usually a card scraper, especially with some shaping, gets in there really nicely and gets most of it off there. Then I'll come in with a little bit of sandpaper, and it shows you those couple spots you missed. It also allows you to feather it down a little bit more. Doing this just is one of those steps that if you do it too quickly, it's just not ever going to look quite right. And I wanted to spend some time on this because this is one of those things where you're going to be holding it. Now, I didn't do the knob at all because I'm going to be replacing that. But for the tote, I want to spend some time on there and really detail it down. This is some 400 grit sandpaper. Just get in there and it shows you any spot that you missed and allows you to work in it and gives you a really nice feel to the wood as well. But for the finish on this, we're going to be using surprise, surprise, boiled linseed oil and paste wax. And it's one of these things that feels really, really good when it's done, and I just love the look of it. I'm not going to be covering it with a shellac or anything that builds up on the surface because I want to actually feel the wood there, and it feels really good. Now, I'm going to be trying to do some blue Japanning, and I've used a bunch of different recipes, and there are some old documents that talk about different things you can mix it up, but none of them really give good information on it, and it's just one of these things that everyone says, yeah, it's been done, but everyone who's tried it is like, yeah, but it doesn't work very well. So I figured I'm going to give it a try on this one. And of course, I tried about a dozen different recipes, tested them out, and this is the one that did the best, so I figured let's give it a try. We're going to put it on here, and I did 4 very light coats. You can see how they're fairly thick on here, but once you heat it up, they flatten out. And it went okay, but you'll see at this point, it never really came out quite right. And I wasn't very, very happy with it. After bringing it out of the oven, we're going to take it and smooth off the surfaces. I just have this sandpaper at 120 grit and then take it up to about 400 and give the edges a bit of a polish on there. Here's the new brass knob. It's one of those from Reed Planes, and I love the feeling of a brass knob. Originally, I thought, it's going to be too heavy. It's not going to feel all that great in the hand, but after having it in the last plane, I absolutely love the feeling of this. So I needed to rasp it down just a little bit to make it fit inside the collar there. And then once I got it to the right shape, then we can come in with a finer file and smooth it out. I was thinking about going and polishing this down, maybe giving it a brushed surface, but I thought, actually I kind of like the left cast surface. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Again, I'm not making this into a real showpiece. I'm making something that feels good to me and is fully functional. And the brass knob does add a function to it that it feels good, and it kind of glues itself to the wood so that it holds itself down. You're not going to be rounding over the start of the work you're working on. For the frog, I want to come in with a file and flatten out the sole. I'm not really flattening it out, more just getting rid of any high spots or any ridges or any of the Japanning that came up onto the edge. For the file to fit, I actually have a whole video going into how to do this. Basically, this is oversized in every dimension so that you can file it down to match your adjuster exactly. And in this case, I'm also going to be using the fine adjuster that Reed Planes also sells. And so we can detail this down and smooth it in, and it gets rid of 100% of the slop in the adjusting mechanism as long as you take the time to do it right. You can see how it just wiggles down in there, and it's a really nice tight fit, and it gives you that rotation, so as soon as you're moving it, that yoke is moving in and out. Then we need to figure out where are we going to drill the hole to go through the yoke into that. And one of the reasons it's not pre-drilled is it can be in slightly different locations depending upon your setup. Now, if you buy the one that is a split wedge on the end, those have a pre-drilled hole that is in the average location. So if you're really worried about it, it actually goes pretty easy. But I'm going to use the frog itself to mark where it is, start the hole, then take it out and drill it the rest of the way through. And now I have a hole that is very, very tight to the pin. I actually have to kind of drive the pin into it a bit. And so we'll run it down through this. And again, I'm being very careful. I'm putting it against that 1, 2, 3 block as an anvil. So I'm not putting pressure into the casting and accidentally breaking it out. Just tap it down until it fully seats itself. Very, very light taps, and there we're at it. And it's still a little bit tight on there, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil, work it back and forth, and the brass and the steel will slowly work it down a little bit until you get a really nice movement on there, and there's no slop in that as well. Then we can start putting the rest of it together. Most of it is fairly straightforward. You're just going to be putting the bolts back that you took out earlier in the same spots. The one adjustment we still need to make, though, is the yoke itself, where it interfaces with the chip breaker, is a little bit too big. So we need to file that down as well. And again, that's one more spot where you can get rid of a little bit of slop. Between the yoke and the adjuster, the yoke and the pin, and the yoke and the chip breaker, those 3 points provide a lot of slop, and that's why the Stanleys were just, you would have to run them a little ways to get them in and out. I want to get rid of that on this. And so once all of this is put back in place, then I can bring in the iron that will be used. And this is one from a Zinwu, which is an amazing iron. They are some of the best in the world. Incredible durability. They far surpass most all others. They are just, yeah, beautiful, beautiful irons. And so we need to file it until it can get down in there. And so I'm going to come in with files and hit the front and back of the yoke until it works its way all the way down in there. And then we can adjust it and lock it in and make sure that I can push it all the way forward, because sometimes you need to do a little bit more on the yoke to make sure you can actually advance the iron all the way forward. The other thing with the Zinwu is it is a very, very large, thick iron. It is the thickest one that I tested out of all of them. And so I needed to open up the mouth a little bit more. I moved the frog back as far as I could, but then I also needed to file the front of the mouth open a little bit. And I did that just until we have a hair wisp of an opening on there, so I can make sure it's as tight as it can be, because this will be for fine smoothing. And then as we go, as you move it, adjust it forward a little bit, you need to adjust the yoke one more time, and you go back and forth until everything is working in. And this is one of these things where I'm going to be fiddling with this. It probably took me about an hour or so of actually getting all the adjustments in until I got it really nice and tight and everything was set up right on here. I want to actually spend the time to do this really, really nicely. And then so we can put the furniture back in there, the final oilings, and ooh, it's almost time to take this for a test drive. And understand that no matter what you do, you're always going to be doing a little more detailing out. Nothing is going to work right off the bat. And so it's a lot of test it, change it, test it, change it, test it, change it, until you get it right the way you want it to. Now, I did want to flatten out the sole on this, not so much to flatten it out, but just to get rid of any the small imperfections and things in there. I was getting some leftover junk on there from the Japanning, and there was a little bit of some spots on there, and so we smoothed that down. I started with, I think I started with 120 grit. I didn't need anything aggressive on this one, and then we can slowly take it up to, I finished at 400 grit. And after taking the first shaving, I realized the mouth was a little bit too tight. It was actually clogging up because the mouth was at ever so slightly the wrong angle, and the chips were coming out and running into the front of the mouth, which is actually pretty rare. Most of the time they run into the chip breaker, but I needed to do a little more work on this. And then we can add some wax to it, make sure it's all working exactly the way you want it to, and I was having a lot of fun with this. So we're trying to take full width shavings and play with it back and forth and see how thin we can get it, and really kind of spend the time to dial it in here and adjust it. And most of the time I'm going to back out the iron. You can see how I'm adjusting the depth adjuster little bit by little bit until the iron grabs, and that's where I'm going to start at. And so I can start with a little detail shavings here and see how we can get into it. This one is a little thicker. And so we can back it down a little bit more and then try it again. And then we can go one more time. And it's all about the little adjustments and making sure everything is fine-tuned, because I want this to be something I can pick up and very, very quickly just go to town. I was realizing the iron was very, very close, but I wanted to make it just that much closer because I wanted to actually run this through its paces and see just how thin a shaving could I really get with this? How accurate a setup could I put this in? And I really had some fun here just playing down with this piece of pine and seeing what can I actually get out of this plane. And yeah, you can see how even they're so thin that the static electricity is holding them to my hand. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this because it's, yeah, when the chips go up rather than down, it's delightful and a very, very pleasing time. And just how thin are they? Well, yeah, you can actually read through them and see things. It's really kind of fun. Yeah, I can get a little thinner than that, and for some of these shavings we did, but there's no real functional reason to get it any thinner than that. But most of these was getting down to around the thousandth or half a thousandth range. So you can see this one is just over a thousandth of an inch, and absolutely beautiful shavings. Lots of fun, and I'm really looking forward to using this for a long time to come. So there you have it, a 604. I wasn't going for beauty on this. I was going for absolute functionality. I want a plane that will work within an inch of its life, and I really don't care exactly what it looks about, which, you know, I could say it because I went and experimented with the blue Japanning on here. Now, I'm not happy with how the blue Japanning came out, because finding a good recipe for blue Japanning is almost impossible, and I haven't found one yet that works quite right. So I may end up at some point stripping off that and painting it like I do with my normal ones, because I really like that. The reason why I wanted to move away from this one is that the thread for the adjuster into the frog is worn out, so I need to get a new frog for it, and then that runs into other issues. And I came across this 604, and I thought, you know, I don't have a good bedrock in my collection. It'd be nice to have one to talk about, and this one really is an amazing smoother. And so I figured, let's do it with the brass, let's do the fine adjuster, let's do all of the bells and whistles on this and make a plane that is exactly what I want. This is just, oh, so, yes, happy. Now I may end up redoing the blue Japanning, but the shavings I can get with this, the amount of time it takes to set it up and really get it dialed in, this is an amazing plane and exactly what I want for a good smoother. So yes, this will be going on my tool till here in a little while, but I hope you like this. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, think I should have done something different, let me know that down below. I do read through all of those and I answer as many of them as I can get to. So thank you for that. It really helps out the channel as well. Anytime you like, comment, share, subscribe, it gets us in front of more people and does all that great stuff. But if you really want to help out the channel and become an amazing person, then think about joining these people over here. Those are some of the patrons on Patreon. And between patrons and members, those are the people who click the join button or the thank you button down below. You guys support this channel. Thank you for that. And if you'd like to see more content coming like this, then think about joining there. I think I'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Have you ever wondered why Stanley had the numbering system, which is 1 through 8, but never went on to number 9? Well, that's because that's why this is done up to the 9s.